Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group. I am your host, as always, Ryan, and today we are doing another top five rankings video, and we are doing top five awesome The Miz matches. If you know me, which I'm sure most of you will by now, I'm a massive fan of The Miz. I love him. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He's great on the microphone. He's very underrated in the ring. A lot of people don't give him credit, but he is a talent. And I just love the amount of people that don't like him. I think it's brilliant. At the end of the day, he's one of them guys that come in through, tough enough, and at the very, very beginning, when he was wearing the weird hat thing and the very, very long shorts and stuff, he was a bit annoying. Don't get me wrong, but then something clicked, and then he became really good. And then as he goes on, it gets better and better, and his mic skills got better and better, and his matches got better and better too. There's no doubt people can turn around and people can say that they don't like The Miz, but there's no doubt that he's had a Hall of Fame career. He's synonymous with the Intercontinental Championship. He's been two-time WWE champion, multiple-time tag team champion, multiple-time US champion. He's held the Money in the Bank briefcase, not once but twice. He's successfully cashed in both times as well. Two-time WWE champ, like I say. He's done so much in his career, and he's had some brilliant rivalries. He's had some great matches, and there we go. We are going to look through The Miz's top five matches of his career. Oh, and don't forget, he's been on many movies. I'll admit this once and once only. I've never watched a single Miz movie. I haven't. It's just something I haven't done. And I've watched Miz and Mrs. though. I will admit that. I am a fan of Miz and Mrs. I thought that was brilliant. But there you go. So top five matches, obviously starting at five, being the lowest, and then number one being the greatest, the most awesome match in the Miz's WWE career. So we'll start with number five, and we'll start way back in 2010. And it's mad to say, what are we now, 2024? And in 2010 was the Miz's first big push in the WWE. So we'll go to the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match in 2010, which was the Miz versus John Morrison versus Evan Bourne versus Edge versus Randy Orton versus Chris Jericho versus Mark Henry versus Ted DiBiase Jr. So a really stacked match, some great talent in there, former world champions already in Edge, Randy Orton and Chris Jericho. I don't remember if Mark Henry had won the world title by then. I don't think he had. But them three guys, definitely all former world champs. So when you look at the list there of names, The Miz isn't the guy you expect to win the match at the end. But this was around the time when Ted DiBiase Jr. was actually managed by The Miz's wife, Maurice. Obviously they weren't married then. I'm not sure. I don't think they were even dating back then. But it does seem mad to say that now, that Maurice actually managed Ted DiBiase Jr. And back when he was the $1 million champion, when he had the title that didn't really mean anything. At one point during the match, Maurice actually tried to climb the ladder to get the briefcase down for DiBiase, but was stopped by John Morrison, which just makes you think of when James Ellsworth climbed up the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match and won the briefcase and chucked it to Carmella, and the backlash that was then. So could you imagine if Maurice had won the briefcase all the way back in 2010 in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match and chucked it down to Ted DiBiase Jr. of all people. This match, as expected, was action-packed, including John Morrison being RKO'd off a ladder and Evan Bourne hitting a perfect shooting star press, or airborne as it was called, on the Viper. They had a bit of history leading into this. I think it worked out to, was it 2-3 times in a row on Raws leading up to this. Bourne found himself being RKO'd consecutive weeks leading up to this match, so he finally got to hit a airborne on Randy Orton. In fact, at one point it did seem like Randy Orton was going to win this match. He laid out 3 of his opponents with RKO's, but of course it wasn't to be, as The Miz picked up the win, which was a fun surprise at the time. Like you say, you look back and you look at the names in this: Edge, Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, especially. They're 3 massive names. You know, back when Miz and Morrison were teaming, everyone expected Morrison was going to be the guy to go on and become WWE champion, which obviously never happened, but The Miz did. You know, Evan Bourne maybe not so much, or Ted DiBiase Jr., but Mark Henry as well. You know, he was just on the verge. I think his push was about 2011, was it? The Hall of Pain. That was a really good run for Mark Henry. Probably actually his only run worth talking about. But you know, it was a big surprise at the time. It was a big shock. It annoyed a lot of people. I remember that. But it did prove to be a massive step in The Miz's career. As that is number 5, The Miz winning the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match. Coming in then at number 4, we talked about Miz and Morrison. So The Miz versus Morrison for the WWE Championship Falls Count Anywhere match on Raw. You know, these two have had some fantastic matches together as a team, and some really good matches against each other as well. Obviously these two are now going to be forever tied together, having won tag titles like way back then, and then again they won tag belts when after a few years Morrison returned to the company. They put them back together and they became SmackDown Tag Team Champions too. But Miz's 2010-2011 WWE title run wasn't exactly great. It didn't light up, you know, the company. It didn't paint him out to be the new guy, if you like, if I'm being honest. But this is probably, I'd probably say it was his best match of that reign, and probably the best match of the two of them, to be fair as well. The former tag team champions going head to head. You know, sometimes that storyline works, sometimes it doesn't. I think there's a bit of up and down, to be honest. I think back in 2010, 2011, you know, this was the time that both of them were receiving actually quite big pushes at the time. But obviously, like I say, Morrison never went and got his hands on the big one. When am I? It was the first Raw of 2011, and they set the bar with this one. It was a really good match. I remember a lot of people enjoyed it at the time. The early action took place outside of the ring, with Morrison leaping off the WWE sign at one point onto Miz and Alex Riley. God, remember him, Alex Riley. Morrison was able to hit the Starship Pain on the Miz, but couldn't keep him down for the 3 counts. I remember a lot of people jumping up and thinking, you know, after he hit his finish, you know, Morrison might well have took the belt from the Miz. And like I say, because the Miz was big heel at the time, Morrison was then a big face. You know, it was expected by a lot of fans that they would switch the title between them for the next 6 months or so. But again, that just didn't happen for whatever reason. They didn't decide to put the main title on Morrison. And he was pretty over as well at the time too. Like, there was a lot of fans pulling for Morrison to get the belt. You know, he's really athletic, go in the ring. You know, he'd had this character now for a while, so he had it down to a T. I mean, I suppose, again, he wasn't great on the microphone, was he, John Morrison? Still isn't, to be fair. Like, you know, it's not like he's retired. He's over in AEW as Johnny TV, and for me, that's just not working. I don't understand why they brought him in. It's just not working. The fans just aren't behind it. I'm not behind it, and I am a Morrison fan. I do like him. I think he should have been WWE champion. He is really talented. But again, like the old saying with Shelton Benjamin, you know, for me, Shelton Benjamin should have been a WWE World Champion. You know, athletically gifted, probably the best in-ring performer in terms of athleticism. But you've got to be able to do it all, and John Morrison, like Shelton Benjamin, wasn't very good on the microphone, unfortunately. You know, like I say, surprised didn't win it at some point in his career, but it wasn't to be on this night, as he went for another Starship Pain, sent crashing through the table on the outside. But in the end, the Awesome One It's a skull-crushing finale to retain the WWE Championship. And like I say, it was the kick-off Raw of 2011. You know, they are normally wild, the first ones of the year. They try and set the bar high for the rest of the year. And they certainly done that with this match between the two former best friends and tag team partners. So we'll move on to number 3. And again, this one is back in 2010, and people wonder why when WWE does when they do the 2K games and they have Miz from now and Miz from 2010, because Miz in 2010, I'd say his 2 best years. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. His 2 best years. Excuse me. Never done that in a video before. His 2 best years inside of WWE for me is 2010 and 2016. So there's no surprise, again, as we go to 2010 for number 3. We have The Miz versus Daniel Bryan for the United States Championship at Night of Champions 2010. This was built up because during the first season of the NXT, The Miz served as Bryan's pro, as Bryan was a rookie in terms of WWE, even though he'd been in the ring for years. At this point, when did he make his debut? About 2001, 2. So he'd been in the ring like 8-9 years at this point. But he was a rookie in terms of WWE because he wasn't on WWE television before. The 2 men clashed throughout the show, and after Bryan was fired and then rehired, it made sense for them to go and finish the storyline that they had started during the first season of NXT. Months of built-up frustration came to a head in this match as Bryan unloaded on The Miz. Miz tried every dirty tactic he could to try and get the victory, including some help from his new protege, Alex Riley. There's that name again. But it was not to be on this night as Miz tapped out to the LeBell Lock and Bryan won his first title in WWE. The rivalry then would go on for years in WWE, even when Bryan had retired and they came face to face on Talking Smack. And then obviously when Bryan then finally did return to the ring and they had the storyline in the tag team rivalry as well. So there's a big history there between Bryan and The Miz. I know a lot of people are a fan of the Talking Smack segment as well. When they used to do that was a brilliant show. Can't believe Vince looked at it and canned it because it was something that he didn't think of, and it was working really, 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 really well with the fans. They absolutely loved it. Renee Dupree and Daniel Bryan were just brilliant on it. Some of the episodes on that were just fantastic. I should go back really and watch a couple of them. I know this segment is well shown. It's been shown throughout. WWE used it then to promote obviously Bryan and The Miz when he come back. But this match back in 2010. It was brilliant, it did everything it needed to do. The Miz had just won the Money in the Bank briefcase, he was the United States champion. Obviously they needed to get the belt off him, so then he could be pushed on to win the WWE Championship, cashing in on Randy Orton. Obviously having him lose clean as well by tap out, then had people thinking, really, this guy's going to successfully cash in the WWE Championship? I don't think so. So then again, when he did, it's a shock. It's the shock factor. I mean, if you go back and you watch when The Miz cashes in on Randy Orton, that girl with the face in the crowd, and she's fuming. There was a lot of people like that because, like I say, the likes of this, where Daniel Bryan wins clean in the match against The Miz, taking the US Championship from him as well. This is all happening after he's supposed to be getting this big push, and then all of a sudden he's losing clean to a rookie, if you like. But it was done really well, and I'm pretty sure when I done me pay-per-view top, I think it was Night of Champions top 10, I'm sure this was it as well, because I remember reviewing this match before. So that is number 3, and like I say, again, so far we have number 5, number 4 and number 3, all from the year 2010. Like I say, it was a really, really big year for The Miz, and WWE was seeing big things for him and started to push him. Although this is the first one that he lost in, like I say, it's not a Miz best wins, it's Miz best matches. So we'll move on again and we'll go to number 2. And we're going to The Miz versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Cesaro, Extreme Rules in 2016 for the Intercontinental Championship. Like I say, for me, The Miz's 2 best years is 2010 and 2016. You know, again, the Intercontinental Championship is involved. You know, we'll say again, actually, it's the first time the Intercontinental Championship's been involved. But when you think of the Intercontinental Championship, you do think of The Miz. You know, he's right up there as one of the best. He brought some prestige back to the title. I know Gunther's now gone and took it to an absolute new level. That the likes of, obviously, Miz, Chris Jericho, Honky Tonk Man could never have even took it to. But, you know, Gunther's just an absolute machine. I think he's going to go on and have an absolute phenomenal career at the very, very top of WWE, probably sooner rather than later as well. I think with all the things that have gone on at the moment, you know, with Brock Lesnar, we don't know whether he will be back in the WWE at any point. I feel like Gunther is your man to take that spot, and he could be a big, big star. So, but when you do think of the Intercontinental title, especially before Gunther's reign, you do think of The Miz. One of the best, probably the best Fatal 4-Way that WWE's probably ever done. You know, it's a fantastic match. 4 great talents. I mean, if you look at the talent involved, like say The Miz, you know, is multiple time champion throughout the company. Kevin Owens, again, multiple time champion throughout the company. Sami Zayn, you know, absolutely phenomenal talent. And Cesaro, you know, again, is it'd been US and he'd been tag team champion as well. You know, again, no, if you look at these names, like Miz has been WWE champion twice, Kevin Owens has been Universal champion once, Sami Zayn has never been a world champion, Cesaro was never a world champion when he was with WWE, and it's shocking, like, the talent that's involved in this match. These should all be now former world champions within WWE. Obviously, the match was fast-paced, action-packed, as you would expect, with even spilling to the outside of the ring on numerous occasions. You know, we had Maurice at ringside for The Miz, trying to help him out as well. At one point, I was watching back through this. The full match is actually available on YouTube, which surprised me, because WWE don't tend to do that a lot, but maybe because it's so long ago now. And so as I was watching back, and you know, there was quite a lot of near falls in it, and to be honest with you, most of the near falls came against Cesaro. You know, he got hit with a skull crushing finale, and he managed to kick out. You know, Kevin Owens rolls him up at one point, and he manages to kick out. He gets hit with the Blue Thunder Bomb from Sami Zayn. He manages to kick out. You know, this is right in the midst of Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn as well. So there's a point in the match where it's just them two facing off. You know, the other two are outside the ring, then two are facing off, and they just go at it, and the fans are well into it. You know, I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them rivalries that we'll always enjoy watching. We'll always, like, you know, they're always going to put on clinical matches, and they're always going to put on absolute bangers. But, you know, sometimes things are done to death, so maybe wait a couple of years and then give it us again. You know, they've recently been tag team champions again, only last WrestleMania. But, you know, anytime they're in the ring, it's like Gargano and Ciampa. You know, we've seen that match a million times, and at first people, you know, if they announce a new match with them, same with KO and Sami Zayn, like, oh, we've seen this match a million times. You know, the storylines wear and thin, but, you know, anytime they're in a match, you're going to have a clinic, and it's not going to be the same as what you've seen before. Yes, some of the moves will be the same, but it won't be the same match, you can guarantee that. And, you know, when these two then went head to head in the middle of the ring and started proper going at it, you know, it was just brilliant. We had, like I say, we had Miz hitting the skull crushing finale on Cesaro, only getting a 2 count. Then we had Cesaro was in the corner, and Miz was going to do his running, you know, the way he does the running slingshot thing. He was going to go and hit him with that. Gets taken out the ring. Sami Zayn runs over, hits the hell of a kick on Cesaro, leaves him dazed. Kevin Owens pulls Sami Zayn out. No, that's it. Sorry, my mistake. He hits the hell of a kick. He hits down. Sami Zayn covers him. As he's covering him, 1, 2, Kevin Owens grabs his foot, rags him out the ring, breaks up the pin. And then Sami just sees red and goes in on Kevin Owens. He's pummeling the hell out of him. He's throwing him into the ring steps. He's throwing him into the barricade. He's just going in on him. Meantime, Miz slithers in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Picks up the win. Retains the title as Sami Zayn slides in for that photo finish. Slide in where he tries to break it up, but doesn't quite make it, and it's all Kevin Owens' fault. But there you go, yet another fantastic match, and the talent that's involved just shows, how good it was. But definitely worth a check out if you haven't seen it already, or if you haven't seen it for a while. It's definitely worth a rewatch. So we'll go down from 5 down to 2, and then I will give you the best awesome Miz match in WWE. So we'll go in at number 5, and that is the Raw Men's Money in the Bank ladder match from 2010. It was the Miz versus John Morrison versus Evan Bourne versus Edge versus Randy Orton versus Chris Jericho versus Mark Henry versus Ted DiBiase Jr. In at number 4, The Miz versus John Morrison for the WWE Championship Falls Count Anywhere match on Raw, January 2011. Then we come in at number 3 with The Miz versus his rookie, Daniel Bryan, for the United States Championship and Night of Champions 2010. Coming in at number 2 is The Miz versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Cesaro at Extreme Rules 2016 for the Intercontinental Championship. So what could be in at number 1? Well, it is from not 2010, but it's from 2016 again. The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler at No Mercy 2016. The Miz's Intercontinental Championship is up for grabs versus Dolph Ziggler's career. Again, if you know me, I'm not Dolph Ziggler's biggest fan. I've been enjoying the work he's been doing outside of WWE the last couple of weeks, showing up at Wrestle Kingdom, showing up at TNA. I have enjoyed those bits just to see what he's like outside of WWE. And to be honest with you, as I've got older, I didn't used to like him quite a bit, but as I've got older, I've realised it's not the fact that I don't like Dolph. I think Dolph is an incredible performer in the ring. I feel like he's always one to put over someone else. He does some great spots in the ring. I think it was more the booking of him himself. I didn't like the booking of him being Shawn Michaels 2.0, and they kept running with it, and it just annoyed me. And then, some of his promos were just over the top for no reason, which was annoying as well. But his in-ring ability, the dude's clearly got something there, hasn't he? There's a really solid build up to this match that ended up seeing Dolph Ziggler put his career on the line for another shot at the Miz's Intercontinental Championship. Crowd was massively into this match, both men getting chance throughout it. Storytelling in this match is some of the best that I've seen, to be honest, and had us fans on the edge of our seats. See, I love that. First going into it, you're like, oh, well, Dolph Ziggler's not going to retire. He's obviously going to win the belt. It's a foregone conclusion. And sometimes some of the storylines do have you feel like that in wrestling in general, not just WWE. But they were able to take that and then turn it. So while you're actually watching the match, there was actually points where you thought, oh my God, he's going to lose and have to retire, or at least go away for a short period of time and then come back as a revamped character or whatever, or retire, but it turns out it only means from SmackDown he can go to Raw, that sort of thing. But there was moments in the match where you're like, oh my God, Miz is going to win this, you know what I mean? So they were able to take what you thought was just going to be a standard basic match of blah blah blah, okay, zigzag, 1 2 3, okay, well, we've seen that coming a mile off, to actually, oh my God, Miz could actually win this, and that is what I really enjoyed. Dolph Ziggler hit a zigzag only gets the 2 count. Miz hit not 1 but 2 skull crushing finales, but again couldn't put the show off away. Ziggler resisted a figure 4 leg lock and managed to get to the ropes, looking like he was gonna actually tap out at one point. Imagine that, a way to, retire. If he'd have tapped out, basically given up his career, if you like, that would have been really good. And I remember the selling of that was brilliant. Even interference from 2 of Dolph Ziggler's former Spirit Squad teammates couldn't keep him down. If you remember, for a couple of weeks, the Miz managed to get hold of 2 of the guys from the Spirit Squad, and he used them against Dolph Ziggler, but they interfered in this match and still couldn't put Dolph down. His resilience in this match, that's one thing that everyone's always admired about Dolph, was his resilience, and it played the part where Ziggler was doing this, and Miz was trying absolutely everything, being the dastardly heel that we know he can be, and trying everything, even getting the guys that he come into the company with to try and stop him and end his career. The jealousy of them, that he's gone on to these heights while they've been left by the wayside. It's just really good storytelling. In the end, though, the show-off come out on top, keeping his job and becoming 5-time Intercontinental Champion. So there you have it. That is my number 1. I've cut that number 1. The in-ring action was great. The story build-up was great. And the in-ring storytelling was probably the best of a Miz match. Probably the best of a Dolph Ziggler match I've ever seen as well. And probably one of the best I've seen in WWE for a good while, to be honest. It was really good, and it was edgy seat stuff. Like, I'm a massive Miz fan, so I was sitting there hoping Miz was going to retire Dolph Ziggler. My missus, she's a massive Dolph Ziggler fan, can't stand the Miz. She's on the edge of the seat hoping that, Dolph Ziggler's gonna beat the Miz, and we're both going. And I remember watching it with her, and like, I'm jumping up at certain things, like skull crushing finale, and I'm like, yes, he's gonna win. And she's like, oh, and then obviously the zigzag comes out of nowhere, and she's like, yes, Dolph's gonna win. And I'm like, no, so good. Like, watching it with someone else, like, wrestling's great. I love watching wrestling. Watching it with someone else, especially when they're cheering for the other person, it's just fantastic. And there's probably a factor in me putting this at number 1, but I don't care, because I feel like the storyline was that good that while we were watching it, we were proper on the edge of our seats, wondering who was going to come out as the champion. And that's how it should be. That's how all matches, big field matches, should be. So there you have it. That is my top 5. The Miz matches. So let me know in the comment section what your top 5 Miz matches are. Obviously, let me know if there's any that you feel I've missed off. He's had some fantastic matches. He's been in multiple Royal Rumble matches and had great showings, although he's not won one. He's been a tag team champion with Big Show. He's been a tag team champion with John Morrison. They've had some good matches there. He's had some good matches over the year with Seth Rollins. I think actually in my Seth Rollins video, Seth Rollins, Miz and Finn Balor actually made that the top 5 match of that as well. So there's so many matches that could have easily gone in here, but these are the 5 that I feel like, if you have never seen the Miz, these are the 5 matches that I feel like are a really strong place to start, and you will become a Miz fan just by watching these. So these are my 5. Like I say, let me know in the comment section if you have a different 5, or if you have any that you feel shouldn't be in here, or that you feel that I've missed off. Let me know in the comment section. It's always good to hear any sort of feedback. As always, give us a like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Please do hit the subscribe button. I know there's still quite a few people that are watching and not yet subscribed, so don't be scared. Subscribe and you'll get the latest videos, notifications. Make sure you switch that on as well, and you'll be able to be notified every time I drop a new video. I've got loads of videos to get through coming up. I've got a little bit of time off work. I'm going to try and smash out as much content as possible, especially with the top 5s, because I really enjoy doing them. So let me know in the comment section what your top 5 Miz matches are. And as always, be sure to stay tuned for more wrestling related content to come your way very, very soon.